What is the best time to work out? Is it the morning, midday, or is it even in the evening time? I'm going to give you the answer in a second, but don't go anywhere because we still have some explaining to do as well. If you want to learn how to build more muscle, if you want to learn how to lose body fat, then subscribe to this YouTube channel, and if you click the little bell as well, YouTube will notify you, or should notify you, every time I upload a YouTube video. I have noticed that some of you aren't watching to the end of these videos, and if you want to get all of the information you need, it's very important that you watch to the end of the video. So what I've done, just to make it easier for you to follow, is listed out what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about morning training, midday training, sort of 1-2 p.m. type of training, evening training, and at the end I'm going to give you the summary and really just the answer to what you want to know. I'm also going to tell you at the end of the video which is better for you if you are cutting, if you are bulking, if you're doing intermittent fasting, which is going to be the best for you. The real best time to work out, morning, midday or evening, drum roll please, is whenever you can work out. And don't go anywhere because I need to explain this point. The most important thing in fitness, in training, in everything that you do, in building a physique, is consistency. So the real best time for you to go to the gym is when you can stay most consistent with it, and that is unique to your schedule. Nobody else is going to be the same as you, everybody else is slightly different, and for some people one day you might have to train in the morning, the next day you might have to train in the evening. So the real best time to work out is when you can stay the most consistent with. So let's talk about the morning time and some pros and cons to training in the morning. Now, training in the morning is not always the best idea. Some of the negatives of training in the morning are when you've just woken up, your muscles are going to be cold, and that means you're not going to be feeling those muscles working very well because they're cold in the morning. It also means you have more chance of injury. In the morning, a lot of people are tired and they can't be bothered to do things. There's some of the negatives that I would consider if you want to train in the morning. Another negative is also a lot of people overlay in the morning. They click the snooze button and they overlay by half an hour, whatever that is. And while I hate the idea of the snooze button, I hate the idea of people not sticking to what time they're supposed to wake up, the problem is it's a reality, and there are a lot of people that do it. So that's another thing. If you're somebody that overlays quite often, that is going to affect your workout routine. If you're supposed to be working out first thing in the morning, you might not have time to go later in the day. Some of the benefits to working out in the morning are the fact that you have more energy after you've woken up. As the day starts to go on, and usually in the afternoon and evening times, a lot of people are so exhausted throughout the day that they don't feel like working out in the evening. If you're working out in the morning, then when it comes to the evening time, it doesn't matter how tired you are because you've already done what you need to do. I recommend morning training for beginners, and the reason I say that is because a lot of people find it easier to stick to in the morning. The reason is because your willpower is like a battery, almost like your iPhone battery. So what happens is throughout the day, as you do more tasks, the battery starts to go down further and further and deplete. So as you get towards the end of the day, you have less and less willpower, the more tasks you have. Even completing little tasks like choosing what clothes you're going to wear or making decisions depletes your willpower throughout the day. It's the same reason most people quit on their nutrition during the evening. It's usually at night time when they start eating bad foods and they start to cheat on their diet. It's usually not in the morning time. If you are going to train in the morning because you're a beginner, it's something you can stick to, or just in general you want to train in the morning, I recommend trying to get up a little earlier and spending 30 minutes or an hour before you actually go to the gym. I would prefer most of you don't go straight to the gym and work out while those muscles are cold. If you are going to do that, or you have to do that, go on the treadmill for 10 minutes, try and loosen your muscles up before you work out. Let's talk about midday training. So midday I would say is around 1 p.m. to 3 p.m, that sort of time. And this is actually the time that I work out at, and that's because it's convenient to me. There is no added benefit of training in that time. There's no science that says you're going to build more muscle if you train at that period of time. It's more convenient for me, and for me, I do intermittent fasting. So what I'll do is around 2 p.m. I'll start my training session. My training usually lasts an hour to an hour and a half, and then post-workout is when I eat my first meal of the day. You don't have to be doing intermittent fasting to train in the afternoon. The only negative for most people of training in the afternoon is if you have a short window, maybe 1 to 2 p.m. to get your workout in because you're at school or you're at work. The issue is it's very easy to get caught up doing something else and then you miss your training session. and that only then leaves the evening time for you to try and pick up what you missed in the afternoon, and most people aren't willing to sacrifice their time in the evening at that point. So you have to consider, is that time convenient for me? Is it something I'm going to be able to stay consistent with? And if not, then I don't recommend that time. If you work from home or you have a certain schedule where you know you're never going to get interrupted in that time, then it's going to be great for you. Now we're going to talk about training in the evening, if that's best. And just remember, in a second I'm going to give you the summary and the answer to when you need to train. So a few years ago there was a study done about training in the evening. I'm going to talk about that in a second, because typically I recommend that people do not train in the evening unless you absolutely have to, and I have been proven wrong by this study, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. So I've always recommended you never train in the evening for the simple reason you have less willpower, you're going to be more tired, you'll usually have kids or girlfriends or whoever around at that time because most people have finished work, so you don't feel like you want to go to the gym because you have all your family, your friends, people around you are getting invited to go places, and you have kids. Whatever your situation is, it's a very easy time to say that you're not going to go because you have so many easy distractions, things that are fun to do, and obviously the lower willpower. The other reason I've recommended in the past that you should never work out at night is because lifting weights is strenuous on the body. It makes you feel like you have more energy after you've done the workout. You feel on top of the world during a workout. The issue with that is if you're training at 7 PM at night and you plan on going to sleep at 9, 10 PM at night, 3 hours later you're going to be going to bed. So you've amped your body up, you're all high, you're all feeling incredible, you've got endorphins running through your brain. But the issue is at that time of night your body's releasing hormones such as melatonin, such as serotonin, which are going to help you go to sleep. Your body at that time of night is relaxing, the sun's going down, everything should be to relax, to bring yourself down, ready for going to sleep. The last thing you need to be doing is throwing weights around. I've just made some really valid points there, and points that shouldn't be ignored, because when it comes to fitness, I always say it's 50% experience from yourself, experience from other people that you've learned from, and 50% science. So I like to split it up into the middle. The issue with a lot of people is they only talk about experience, especially the older generation of bodybuilders, if you want to call it that. They only talk about experience, not science. And the younger generation, my sort of generation of coaches, tend to talk too much about science, and they don't really consider the experience side of things. So I like to combine both. Now, what I found, I believe it was a 2016 study, it could have been a 2017 study that I've read that a lot of other people have actually talked about as well. It was a study that was done over 24 months, so they had people train in the morning, the exact same workout plan, the exact same system, and they had group B training in the evening time. And what they found over the 24 months is significantly more muscle growth in the group that trained in the evening time. I've read through the study and it's quite compelling evidence. It's sort of against everything that I originally thought, but when you're presented with such compelling evidence like this, you can't really go against it. And so I would consider, if you want to build more muscle, training in the evening time, and if it keeps you up at night, then scrap it. Now let's talk about the summary and exactly when you should train depending on your lifestyle. So again, the most important time to train is whenever you can train. That's the best time to train. But if we have a preference, if you're doing intermittent fasting, for example, like I am, I recommend trying to train in the midday, because you'll be able to fast, you'll be able to then do a fasted workout and then hit your first meal after that. If you're doing intermittent fasting, you don't want to train in the morning, and you can train in the evening after you've had a meal around 60 to 90 minutes after you've eaten your meal. You could then get a workout in. If you're cutting and trying to lose body fat, then you might want to do intermittent fasting and then train and eat your first meal. You also might want to train in the morning, fasted on an empty stomach, and then eat after your workout. If you're trying to lose some extra body fat, training fasted is a good way to do that. But again, remember, it's all about what you can stay consistent with. If you're bulking up and trying to build muscle, I think it's clear that the best time to work out is actually in the evening time, despite again what I've recommended in the past. This doesn't mean to say you can't train in the morning or in the midday and do a little bit of intermittent fasting to try and stay lean whilst you're building muscle, but I think the best time for most of you is going to be in the evening time. To finish the video off with, training in the evening is going to be the absolute best time you can train. if you want to build the most muscle. And like I said before, it doesn't mean that if you train in the other areas you won't build muscle. You will build muscle, but you will build less than you would if you was going to train in the evening for most people.